Okay, I now call this special meeting to order at 6 p. or it's, what is it, 6:03. Ms. Bigelow, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Turner,
Here.
Councilmember Spring,
Here.
Levers, here, Bogioli,
Here.
Martinez Beltran. Here.
Could you also please declare the posting of the agenda?
Tonight's meeting agenda was duly noticed and posted in accordance with Government Code 54954.2.
All right, we now move on to our closed session. Ms. Bigelow, do we have anyone wishing to speak on the closed session?
I see no one in the room. We have one member of the public on Zoom. If you wish to offer public comment on the closed session item, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands go up, Mayor.
Okay, we'll now to adjourn to closed session. Assistant City Attorney, Cynthia Hassan. Please read the closed session into record.
Right to public services or facilities pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, consultation with Morgan Hill Police Department Chief of Police.
Okay, we will now move to closed session. We will now reconvene the special meeting. Ms. Hassan, was there any reportable action?
There is no reportable action this evening, Mayor.
If you'll stand with me, we'll now do our silent invocation and then follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Follow me in the pledge, if you will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd now like to ask the Youth Action Council to come forward to the lectern and provide their presentation.
Oh, good evening and happy new year. Mayor Turner, council members, city attorney, city manager, city teammates, and community members. My name is Ethan Lorenz. This is my first year in YAC, and I'm a sophomore at Anserado High School.
Thank you for starting us off, Ethan. Hi, my name is Yari. I am a first year active YAC member, and I'm a sophomore at Valley Christian High School.
Hi, my name is Jasleen. This is my second year in YAC as the Times Reporting Post Social Media Ambassador. I'm a sophomore at Anserado High School.
Can I get your name again is?
Jasleen.
Jasleen? Thank you.
December's developmental asset is number 34. The reason why we're presenting December now is because the December meeting was postponed until now. The developmental asset is positive views of personal future. A young person is optimistic about his or her personal future. This is important to all of us because being optimistic about your personal future can help you set goals for the future that are reasonable.
The complementary asset to positive views on personal future is asset number 32, planning and decision making. A young person knows how to plan ahead and make decisions. This pairs very well with the December developmental asset because if you know how to plan ahead and make decisions, then you will most likely have a positive outlook on your personal future.
Thank you, Yari and Ethan, for starting us off. Something that I often do is look into my future and what I want to achieve, which is going to college and graduating high school. And sometimes these goals seem like they're really far away. And I have a lot of difficulty motivating myself, whether it's to get up super early in the morning for school or finish a long assignment that my teachers had me do. So procrastination is definitely a problem. But something that actually really helps me look past that is creating smaller goals for myself. So making more time oriented goals for semester or quarter grades that will lead up to me graduating high school. That's something that I find really helpful for myself. Another thing that I think is really important for having a positive view of your future is being passionate about something. Something I'm really passionate about is YAC. YAC, I've been in it for 2 years and I haven't stopped loving it. I love helping the community and volunteering at the Magical Bridge Playground. And it's just something I find very important for having a positive view of my future.
Speaking about passion for your personal future, I lacked that in 2020. Back in that year, I lacked a lot of things. I was lonely. I had nothing to go for because online learning was tough. But something that changed me was peer advice. During that year, I went to a party and I met a man and sat on the couch and talked for a while. He said that he was a lawyer and I felt really interested. I felt like it was something I wanted to do and I felt like I gained purpose. Getting purpose is important to me because he helped me realize that it felt like something I was destined to do. It felt like it was right. I liked helping people and I felt like I should have done that all along. But the thing is, I would have never met that man if I never stepped out of my comfort zones. Stepping out of comfort zones is important to me because one, I won't be sitting here before you all presenting to you today. Two, I would have never joined YAC. And three, I never would have even met that man in the first place to make me set on my goals.
Like Ethan, I was lost during the pandemic year of 2020. And the schools, like the online schools, were just really hard to pay attention in for me. So I really just didn't find my sense of purpose like I should have. And that made it really hard for me to have that positive outlook, that sense of purpose. But the next year, my freshman year of high school, I went back to in-person learning and I started looking around, observing the people around me. And I also started asking my teachers, my parents, and my friends what I should do, because I just really had no idea at this point. I'd just been procrastinating for so long. And they all gave me really good advice that helped me. And it gave me that sense of optimism and purpose that I strive to achieve.
The quote that we chose for this month was "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams" by Eleanor Roosevelt. The reason that we chose this quote was because we feel that passion is something important for everyone to have. And we feel like if you have dreams, then this will help you have an optimistic future. Thank you for listening. We were thrilled to present to all of you today. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ethan, Yari, and Jesli. Appreciate it. Great presentation. Council reports this month. It is Councilmember Spring's turn to report on his outside activities. Councilmember.
It has been very quiet. Most of my assignments and meetings got canceled that were supposed to happen over the past couple of months. So I yield my time back, but wish all of you here and online and my colleagues and staff very happy New Year.
Thank you, Councilmember Spring. City Manager Christina Turner.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the community, and my teammates with us tonight. The focus of my report tonight is a weather and storm update. On New Year's Eve, the city began mitigating efforts for the biggest rainstorm of 2022 by staging barricades at known hotspots, clearing storm drains, preparing our sandbag stations, and putting out social media tips for flood preparedness. The Corporation Yards Departmental Emergency Operations Center, also known as DEOC, began working around the clock to ensure our city was ready. A week later, we activated our Emergency Operations Center to ensure our teammates in the field had the resources they needed. As the event grew in duration, the need for a local emergency proclamation was identified to assist with federal and state reimbursements. We are now monitoring the storm and assisting challenged areas where needed. We are very, very proud of our teammates who worked many, many hours in the evenings, weekends, and through the holidays to keep our community safe while continuing to provide vital services. As everyone probably knows, there's still more rain in the foreseeable future over the next week, and our teammates will continue to provide the best service to the people who live and work in Morgan Hill. And second, I want to turn over the mic to Michelle Bigelow, our city clerk, for a brief comment.
Angie, can you come up here for a sec? So hopefully you all know by now it's bittersweet news, but our very own Angie Garcia has earned a role as the Deputy City Clerk for the City of Hollister, which is an absolutely life-changing thing for her to be able to live and work in the community that she lives in and have her kids go to school where she lives. So we are beyond excited for her. And also really sad to lose her, but she has been integral. So Angie has been with the city of Morgan Hill for just over 9 years. She was my very first hire when I got promoted into the city clerk's office. And she has been not only an amazing teammate, but a wonderful friend, and has led our organization through 3 agenda system upgrades. She has led the team in innovation, in resourcefulness, in developing integral relationships with our community, and has been a wonderful representative of the city of Morgan Hill. And so we are so proud of her, and we are so happy for her. And we're going to miss her dearly, but she won't be far. And she promises she will come say hi. And if she doesn't, she knows I'll go pester her. So I just wanted to really thank you, Angie, for all of your amazing work, your beautiful, bright, positive spirit, and all of the contributions you made to the city of Morgan Hill.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that. Angie, and I've had a chance to work with Angie now for my less than 1 month in my role, and you've done a great job. Thank you so much for your dedication and commitment to our community.
Mayor, may I
Yes.
just address Angie?
Before you do, though, I just want to also then, I wanted to thank, on behalf of the council, thank Ms. Turner for your leadership and for the team that's been involved in over the storms these last few days. You guys have done a great job in keeping the city certainly, communicated with and also keeping everyone safe. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Councilmember Martinez Beltran.
Angie, I just wanted to tell you, thank you for always being open and receptive. I know that coming on board, you've been very supportive of myself, I'm sure, as many others of my colleagues as well. I'm very sad to see you go. And regrettably, we will let you go to Hollister, but I will let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney's report, Ms. Hassan, anything to report this evening?
I do not have a report this evening.
Okay, other reports, my colleagues, anything that you would like to report on outside activities? Councilmember?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank my colleagues for the posada that we held last month. It was fantastic. Thank you, Mayor, for coming. Councilmember Spring always comes. He wasn't able to come, and hopefully you'll be able to come next year. It was about 300 people that we had there. We were able to give gifts away to all of the kids who attended. There were piñatas, there were dancing, and it was incredibly warming time. So thank you very much. Second, I wanted to announce that on the January 25th at the library, we just did a segment with NBC News and Telemundo. And I'll share with you when that's coming out on missing Indigenous women. And AAUW is doing a program on missing Indigenous women. We've got about, I think there's 5,200 nationwide and only 600 have made it into reporting. This is an effort that we want to encourage, that all women are not safe until we make sure that the most vulnerable women who have been forgotten and are not getting the attention that they need to get, come home safe. And so we just want to encourage people to show up to that. That's on January 25th at 7 to 8:30 at the Morgan Hill Library. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? There being none, we're going to move to public comment. I would like to make this comment here. This is the opportunity for a public comment is for items not on the agenda. If you'd like to make comments on an item that is on the agenda, please wait until we get to that item to offer your comments. Members of the public are entitled to address the City Council concerning any item within the Morgan Hill City Council's subject matter jurisdiction. Public comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes, except for certain specific exceptions. The City Council is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Public comment is intended for comments. Questions posed during public comment are not generally answered. If you have questions, please send them to the city clerk at ccpubliccomment@morganhill.ca.gov to receive a response. So, Ms. Bigelow, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on items not on the agenda?
So far we have one, Joe Baranowski. And Robert Gwynn, is ceding his time to, Joe. So when we do this, he can have up to 6 minutes and 2 people can cede their time to one speaker for a total of 9. So, Angie, if you can be sure to set the speaker for 6 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Baranowski. I'm a Morgan Hill resident for 21 years. Mayor Turner, I received this campaign pamphlet under my doorstep. It says that as a 30-year resident, you're concerned because we have serious issues to address, such as overwhelming growth and a lack of infrastructure to support that growth. Councilwoman Martinez Beltran, I received your pamphlet under my doorstep. Under your important issues, you said that you were going to address slowing traffic comprehensively across town. Councilwoman Lieber, I handed out a lot of your flyers, and they said that you stand for, among other things, infrastructure to meet the city's needs. I'm going to bring these to every single meeting over the next year because I'm hopeful that you're all going to live up to those promises. When the last general plan was updated in 2015, 2016, it was based on what was called the reasonably foreseeable effects that would result from the development over that 20-year period from 2015 to 2035. On the development side, we're there in 2023. For example, the reasonably foreseeable industrial development was defined as 1.7 million square feet of new industrial space. So Redwood going up, we're there. That's not because of SB 330 or any other thing that the boogeyman in Sacramento did. Sacramento didn't tell us how to approve those plans or that we needed to. You know who did? And developers. One big developer built a 500,000 square foot warehouse with 64 dock doors and told us that they would never use more than 8 truck trips a day. Fairfield 5 was approved based on a 40-year-old transportation study, 40 years old, that never, ever imagined those buildings with massive dock doors. Colonel Cole told us we couldn't look at environmental effects of Redwood, and we listened. Massive dock doors with 0 traffic impact analysis. Now again, back in 2015, the general plan EIR recognized that in order to support that allowed growth, we would have to upgrade our transportation infrastructure. You find 24 roadway improvements that were quote, planned and assumed completed under those conditions. It was to result in what was called the future roadway network. Now on the development side, we're there. Where are we on the transportation infrastructure? Of those 24, which started with widening 101 to 8 lanes, if not 10, most of these were pie in the sky assumptions, with the exception of Hale Avenue extension, not budgeted, not looked at, not planned, no plans. Pie in the sky. They're Alice in Wonderland. Now, most of you also, all of you that I mentioned, also said that public safety was one of your highest priorities. And transportation network that allows EMS and fire to get to a 911 call is one of the most important infrastructure improvements that public safety needs. It's one of the most important tools. If we are ever to achieve generally recognized response times, we have to improve our transportation network. And by the way, this doesn't matter what happened 2 years ago when no one was driving to work. It doesn't matter what response times have been over the last several months. It matters when that transportation levels of vehicles on the roads reaches what it was in 2019, and it's going to do that and far exceed that based on this development. And we know that a third fire station even is not going to solve that problem. Now, the reason I'm talking tonight about this is because I've reached out to all of you wanting to meet. I think you have an open door policy. Sometime this year, the city will embark on an upgrade to citywide traffic study. The last time it was done in 2010, which went into those 2035 general plan assumptions. That study should have been reviewed, the scope, before it was sent out to any vendors via an RFP. It's not going to be. That's very unfortunate. If you are serious about your commitments, you cannot wait till that shows up on a consent agenda item. When you ask one or two questions and the city staff is asking for approval, and the answer will be, well, we could look at that, but and everything that, all these quotes that came back, it's going to take longer time, on and on and on. I'm hopeful that you are serious about the commitments that you made to look at infrastructure. There's no more important infrastructure than transportation that needs to be looked at. I look forward to meeting with you at your convenience, anytime, any place, to begin this discussion far in advance so that you can understand what's really going on. I'm hopeful. We need a change. Voters voted for change. They voted for the things that you promised. Let's get those things done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baranowski. Hey, he didn't pass out flyers for me. Okay, let's see. Ms. Bigelow, anything else? Anybody else maybe online?
I have no hands going up online and I have no other speakers in the queue.
Okay, thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as posted?
Motion
to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Borgioli, second by Ms. Beltran. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Consent calendar. Items appearing on the consent calendar considered routine and may be approved by one motion pursuant to City Council policies and procedures CP 97-01. Any member of the council or public may request to have an item removed from the consent calendar for comment or action. Do any council members wish to pull an item? Ms. Beltran?
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment, please, on number 1, number 4, and I would like to get a report on number 10.
So are you looking, you're saying you want to make a comment on number 1 and number 4? Do you
Yes,
need to-
please.
Okay, do we need to pull those?
I
or
don't
just
need to
make a
pull
comment?
those.
Okay, so number 1 and number 4, please go right ahead.
Okay, so number 1, I just wanted to bring to my colleagues' attention that I'd like to talk about the schedule, as you're aware,
Oh, yeah.
coming up for our workshop. And number 4, I want to thank the staff for their proactiveness with looking at the grants and giving us some other alternatives on that. That's all I have. Thank you.
So can I get a motion to adopt the consent calendar with the remaining consent calendar items?
Second.
Okay, a motion from Mr. Borgioli, second from Ms. Beltran. All in favor? Aye. That passes. So we'll go to, I want to make sure I'm doing this right. We go to item number 10 for a report. Okay.
And you'd like a full report? Okay, a brief report. If I could ask Public Services Director Chris Keone to come forward. Purchase of county right of way for city projects.
Chris Keone, Public Services Director. Sorry, Council, I mistakenly thought it was a different item that you were pulling and I fixed my computer. So this report is for the city to basically take on some county right of way in 2 locations within the city. The first location is at Watsonville Road, right near the crossing of the West Little Yagas Creek. And as some council members are aware, and our new council members may also be aware, we have a project there to put in a new pedestrian crossing to open the West Little Yagas Creek Trail. The county, for us to put that signal in that area, has asked us to take control of that right of way. However, we are already maintaining that right of way for basically like a decade-old agreement on that area there. So we would take formal control, not through an agreement, but through ownership of the property. And that would enable us to finish and complete our project for the West Little Yagas Creek Trail. The other piece is a section of DeWitt Avenue right next to Spring Avenue, and half of the road on Spring Avenue for a few hundred feet down the road. And that taking on that property there is in correspondence with the Hale Avenue extension completion. There'll be a signal that has been approved at that intersection to go in and it's actually sitting in there. And we have, the council has previously approved a maintenance agreement for that section and with the county. So we were taking on maintenance of most of that section. What that does, if we take on the intersection, it takes a little tiny piece of road between that intersection and then half the road of Spring to the south, to the east of that intersection and leaves it in the county. So we would be taking on all the maintenance. There would be a little bit of extra work for us. But the county roads department, as they take this to the county board of supervisors after, if the council approves this, has committed to doing some different roadway transfers for that right away, counting that credit and the next step when they'll take stuff back in the future. But because of our two projects, we are recommending we move forward with both of these at this time. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Something so high visibility. I know people will be seeing and I'm sure they've had questions. So thank you.
Any comments by the council? Any comments by the public?
I have no speakers for this item, Mayor.
Help me.
If there's no further council discussion, then you can ask for a motion.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you. Motion to approve?
Move to approve.
And second. Second, okay. Motion to approve by Ms. Beltran, second by Mr. Spring. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Let's see. We're going to move on to other business. This is now item number 11. Ms. Bigelow, will you provide the report?
Follow Chris, and this mic is way too tall for me. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Community, Michelle Bigelow, City Clerk, PIO. As you are mostly all familiar, each year, the City of Morgan Hill appoints a mayor pro tem. The mayor pro tem serves as the mayor in the mayor's absence. We typically follow a type of pattern, and in your staff report, it's laid out. And so it is the mayor's selection, and it is a nomination basis. And we rotate through depending on how long you've been on the council and when you served last as mayor pro tem. And so in going through the rotation, the next person in that order, should you choose to follow it, would be Councilmember Spring. If that is the decision of the council, any one of you may nominate him or he can self-nominate. And he can accept the nomination or gracefully decline, in which case somebody else can nominate themselves or someone else. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
No questions?
No question.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Bigelow. Questions?
Yes. Could you nominate another council member?
It's absolutely the council's decision. You can nominate anybody that you like.
So the one in order would be Councilmember Spring right now.
Correct.
That's what you're saying?
Mhm.
I know that Councilmember Liebers was on the council prior. And I know part of the qualifications is how long you served and everything. So I just wanted to bring that up, that since she's not on this list, Councilmember Liebers, maybe it would be appropriate to nominate her as Mayor Pro Tem.
You're absolutely more than welcome to. And Councilmember Liebert, should you be nominated, it would be your decision if you wanted to accept that nomination or not.
Very good. Any other questions? Mr. Spring?
Since my friend had been on the council before, and then I guess so my turn will be next year then. So I'll nominate, actually. I'll take that and I'll nominate my fellow council member Liebers.
I am going to respectively decline. Thank you, though. I'm a little rusty. I've been off 4 years and there's a new council here. But some things are new to me, and so I'm still getting my feet wet. So I would like to respectfully decline the nomination, but be very thankful that you thought of me. It's very much appreciated. And in turn, I would like to nominate Councilmember Spring. I think he is perfect for the job.
Second.
And before we go there, we want to see if there's any other questions that the council has and then open it up for any public comment.
Okay, very good. So before we receive the nomination, any questions or comments from the public? And you picked a few good days to get your feet wet since we've had so much rain, so.
Literally.
I have no one in the chamber and the hand that was up on Zoom went down. So I would say we have no public comment on this item.
Okay, so we will now accept a nomination.
You,
I would accept this time, yes.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Mr. Spring
Right.
and a second from Ms. Beltran. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm no longer the newbie. Okay, now we are moving on to the next item, receive monthly budget update and November 2022 financial and investment report. Finance Director Dat Nguyen will provide the report. Dat?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council Member, Dan Nguyen, Finance Director. Item you have here in front of you tonight is of course, the last item on the agenda and for you on the monthly budget update as of November 30th, 2022. The overview is, as I mentioned, we go over the monthly budget update. Currently at this time, staff does not have any recommendation for the budget adjustment at this time. And of course, on the monthly budget update, we go over the city's major funds. First of which is the general fund. There's to be no material change since the last budget update to council last month, December 7th. Both revenues and expenditures are tracking budget. On the expenditures, we through November 30, 2022, or 5 months of the fiscal year, we spent about 24.5 million, or about 44% of the budget. When we look at the budget, they are tracking the budget, but when you compare to prior year, they are over about 4.8 million, and majority of that because of major programs that we implemented this year, including the innovative transit, solid waste program, as well as the more hiring because of gradual recovery in recreation services and better recruitment retention of city staff. The next major fund include the development services and our Fund 206, as we all know. Again, as this time for 5 months past, both revenues and expenditures are currently tracking budget. Last but not least are the enterprise funds, which include the water and wastewater. Through the 5 months of the fiscal year, customers or Morgan Hill residents have consumed about 60% less water than the 2-year average. As such, 50% water revenue stabilization rate was implemented. As for sewer, both revenue and expenditures are tracking budget. And this graph right here, as you can see last month, there has been no change since we last present to you of the general fund forecast through fiscal year 27-28. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any question that you may have.
Council members, any questions? Ms. Beltran?
thanks, Matt. I wanted to know if you had any approximate, I guess estimates with the storm. So I see we're looking to declare a local emergency so that we can try and get some of that funding recovered. But what does that mean for us? Will we see some gaps that we may be missing? I know the team has been working incredibly hard. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Shane, and your teams. While we were at home or having a very quiet time, some other people were hustling and making things happen. So what does that look like on our budget?
Well, on the budget, one information that I think we'll share with the leadership team is that through the pay period ending of last Saturday, doesn't include the last couple of days that we staff to spend a lot of time on. City have spent about over 500 hours on the EOC related or storm related, and including the materials like sandbags and stuff we purchased. Amount to about $50,000 we have spent through last weekend. But it doesn't mean that we can receive the whole reimbursement from the FEMA or federal government or the state or TAP OES. They will look at those expenditures and we will determine what are eligible and the funding source that they may have or don't have.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Mr. Spring?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you so much for your report. I always look forward to it. The one suggestion, and I'm trying to formulate in a question, that slide number 5 that shows the trend, the forecast of the general fund. That one looked very different, right? Last year and the year before. And I think it would be great to have a running slide that kind of showed the same slide, how it was presented 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and now. Because I think it's a telling story is how well we manage the funds. I was, I think, the only optimist a few years back when everyone thought the world is falling apart, right? And thankfully I was proven right that things didn't end up as dire as some thought. But I think it would be great to just historically showing this exact slide, how it was 2019 or 18 even, and so on forward, so that people actually can see that this is not just slow, quickly now going on. It was in steep fall at one point, right? In one of those years, right? And thanks to the guidance and help and decisions by the council, we're actually in good shape still. And I thank you for that. And if we could do that, that would be great. Could we?
Sure, definitely. We could add few more charts or more lines to show you what happened, what we looked at a couple years ago and what we look at today.
Yeah, and I'm sorry again, being the optimist, that I don't think we're going to have a recession, not a deep one for sure. So am I off or based upon what you're seeing as well with what's happening with our hotel occupancy, with our businesses, with sales of homes and so on, based upon data that you're seeing, or
sure,
where are we heading?
Yeah.
Which way?
Yeah, based on information locally, because recessions were close in global, national, right? But based on locally here, our hotel occupancy rate probably comparable to before pre-pandemic, but the daily rates is definitely much lower than a couple of years ago. So I think the occupancy are getting there, but the daily rates are not there. For the sales tax, you're right. Almost every consultant we have here kind of off their mark on their forecast, and people, consumers, just so resilient, and we continue to spend even though with all the recession and then all the inflationary pressures. We're supposed to have a meeting with them, quarterly meeting with them, sometimes I believe the end of this month. So we were happy to bring back any information we get from them. But for the property tax, even though the property tax, secure tax are pretty much determined early the year, as set, and the continued growth, but based on the property similarity tax or transfer tax, those numbers have been down considerably compared to a prior year. Maybe because, like we all know, that interest rates, mortgage interest rates have been so high, and that's really reduced number of transactions that impact the transfer tax.
Would it be fair to say the problem always is with a recession that one then takes actions to mitigate the recession too late? That's why I'm asking my questions. But would it be fair to say, based upon what you know right now, that you don't advise us to look into any drastic measures yet to be discussed?
At this time, we're not looking at the action required by the council at this time, because we still seeing that, like you mentioned, remain optimistic. Experts have been called for a recession happened late last year, but it didn't happen, and then now they some predicted this year. But again, I'm just like you, remain optimistic that won't happen.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate your report.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. No recession. We're going to go with that.
I'm taking Renee to yes, we're going to please reflect that in the minutes.
Yes. Any other questions? Ms. Bigelow, any questions from the public?
Yes, Mayor. Our first speaker will be Joe Baranowski, followed by Brian. Maybe. We'll start with Joe.
Yes, good evening again. My name is Joe Baranowski. So several times over the last few of these reports, it's been noted that next year's total sales tax revenue is projected to go down by a slight amount. And this kind of follows up with what Councilmember Spring was just commenting on. But of all the categories that you mentioned, you did mention autos. Autos accounts for almost 25% of our total sales tax. And, during the past few years, due to a combination of factors, supply chain issues predominantly, it's been noted in many of the HCL reports that, the price of new vehicles and used vehicles went through the roof and the demand stayed strong. But now that's starting to change. And the only reason I've heard for this slight decrease that's being modeled is online purchases of essential goods is expected to go down a little bit. But, a lot of people are saying that as available, well, we've already seen it in the used car market, prices have come down a lot. So for sure, prices are going to come down as availability goes up. And there's also some projections that due to higher interest rates, sales is going to really level off. And repos may actually increase. So there's some projections that it's going to go really high. So I've never heard any concern given, and also, again, we got really lucky last year because the new dealership, got off strong running. I'm wondering whether we're seeing anything already with, and whether there's any expectation if there's a worry point, even if we don't hit a recession, that the 25% of our sales tax is going to be impacted because of the factors that are going to hit the automobile industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baranowski.
And I no longer have any hands up on Zoom, so I believe that is our only, it's back up. Okay, Brian Sullivan, just a moment.
Thank you very much. In regard to the comments by Mr. Baranowski, new car dealership that's coming into town is going to increase the revenue for the city, and the used car sales are up this year versus last year. Also, I did try to get in when we were talking about the mayor and the mayor pro tem. I believe that both candidates, Ms. Liebers and Renee Spring, were very qualified, and either one would be great as the mayor pro tem. And I'm happy that Renee Spring stepped up and accepted that position. Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, any other speakers?
No, Mayor.
All right, there's no action required on this item. And so we're going to move to future council initiated agenda items. Any future council initiated business that anybody wants to bring forward? Mr. Spring?
Thank you, Mayor. It's kind of tied to agenda item 1 that was on today's agenda, but I didn't want to start a long discussion because it might be long. But we have this policy in place, CPO 6-202, and we're not following it across the board, right? With our goal setting workshop this year is not in accordance with that policy. And my point is always, if we have a policy in place, we follow it, or if we don't follow it, then let's update it, right? But that might be a discussion that we maybe could have at the goal setting workshop. And to me, that I would like to add as part of that discussion then about the meeting start time, right? Is 7 o'clock the right time? Could it be 6 o'clock maybe? And so on. The same with the goal setting workshop. Fridays is now the preference, it seems, but that's an issue for people like me who have a day job, and it also is an issue for people that might want to join our workshops and are working, and I think we should continue. That's my personal opinion, to balance that. So I'd like to have some sort of a discussion kind of around. Maybe expand it a bit, what are the best ways to, not just for us to meet, but also to make sure that we get the biggest participation from our residents.
That is scheduled, that is going to be on the agenda. So we will have that discussion on the 27th. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Wow, that being the case, meeting adjourned. All right, yeah, thank you. Wow. Hey, yeah, exactly right.